Chapter 1. The perfect facade crumbles. The air was thick with the scent of pine and roasted turkey, a rich aroma that usually filled me with warmth. But this Christmas Eve only amplified the chill in my heart. Jessica's home, meticulously decorated, gleamed with festive lights and expensive ornaments. Every detail, from the perfectly wrapped gifts under the towering tree to the gourmet appetizers laid out on the polished dining table, screamed perfection. My sister Jessica loved perfection. More accurately, she loved displaying perfection. I, Sarah, had always been the quieter one, the one who preferred authenticity over appearances. This often put me at odds with Jessica, who thrived on external validation. Our family, gathered in her sprawling living room, seemed to orbit around her, admiring her seemingly flawless life, her high-flying corporate job, her handsome and successful husband, Mark, and their 2 impeccably behaved children. I sat quietly on a plush armchair, feeling like an alien in a meticulously curated museum, my simple dress feeling out of place amidst their designer holiday wear. The evening progressed with the usual pleasantries, punctuated by Jessica's subtle boasts about her latest achievements, always delivered with a self-deprecating laugh that fooled no one. Then the conversation turned to me. My aunt, well-meaning but oblivious, asked about my job, which was stable but far from glamorous. Before I could fully answer, Jessica chimed in, her voice dripping with mock concern. "Oh, Sarah's doing fine, aren't you, sweetie?" she said, her eyes glinting. "It's just, I think sometimes she struggles with seeing how well everyone else is doing, especially around the holidays, when everything is just so perfect." She gestured around her immaculate living room, a smug smile playing on her lips. My stomach clenched. I knew exactly where this was going. "I mean," she continued, turning to the rest of the family, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper, "it must be hard for her, seeing Mark and I with our beautiful home, our wonderful careers, our healthy kids. I think she just gets a little jealous of our perfect life. It's understandable, really. Not everyone can have it all, right?" A ripple of uncomfortable murmurs went through the room. My parents exchanged nervous glances but said nothing. My cousin David shifted uncomfortably in his seat. No one defended me. No one challenged Jessica. They simply accepted her narrative, the one where I was the bitter, envious sibling, incapable of finding my own happiness. My face burned. The humiliation was a physical ache. I wanted to scream, to lash out, to expose the hollowness of her words. But years of being the difficult one, the sensitive one, had taught me to swallow my anger. My voice, when it came, was barely a whisper. "Jessica, that's not fair." She just laughed, a high, tinkling sound that grated on my nerves. "Oh, Sarah, don't be so dramatic. We all know it's true. Just admit it. You wish you had what I have." That was it. The final straw. The casual cruelty, the public shaming, the blatant disregard for my feelings. It was too much. I stood up abruptly, knocking over a small decorative cushion. "You know what, Jessica? You're right. Maybe I am jealous. Jealous of a life that's built on lies and appearances." The room went silent. Jessica's smile vanished, replaced by a look of stunned anger. "How dare you?" she hissed. "I dare," I said, my voice gaining strength. "Because I'm tired of your perfect little charade. Enjoy your perfect Christmas." Without another word, I turned and walked out, leaving behind the stunned silence and the lingering scent of pine. The cold night air hit me like a slap, but it was a welcome relief compared to the suffocating atmosphere of Jessica's perfect home. As I walked away, the festive lights seemed to mock me, illuminating the path of my profound and unjust humiliation. Chapter 2. The Digital Footprint of Deception. The days following Christmas were a blur of quiet resentment and a simmering need for vindication. Jessica's words, "jealous of our perfect life," echoed in my mind, twisting the knife of humiliation. I knew it wasn't true. My life might not have been glamorous, but it was honest. Unlike hers. Sitting alone in my small, quiet apartment, the lingering scent of stale coffee a stark contrast to Jessica's pristine home, I replayed the Christmas Eve scene over and over. The way she had confidently asserted her perfect life, the way the family had nodded along. It infuriated me. Jessica had always been adept at crafting narratives, especially about herself. She was a master of social media, curating an image of effortless success and domestic bliss. Every post was a carefully constructed tableau: exotic vacations, designer outfits, perfectly plated gourmet meals, and saccharine tributes to her amazing husband and angelic children. But I remembered small cracks in her facade. Little things I had noticed over the years, dismissed as minor inconsistencies, but now, fueled by anger, they began to coalesce into a pattern. There was the time she posted about a spontaneous luxury getaway, but I distinctly remembered her complaining about financial stress just weeks before. Or the glowing review of a new restaurant, only for me to recall her privately admitting she hated the food. Then, a thought sparked. My phone. I often took screenshots of things, funny memes, interesting articles, or sometimes just random online interactions that caught my eye. Had I ever screenshotted anything related to Jessica that might shed light on her perfect life? I started scrolling through my old photo gallery, going back years. It was a tedious process, filled with mundane images and forgotten moments. But then, there it was. A series of screenshots, taken months apart, that I had saved almost unconsciously. The first was a screenshot of a public post Jessica had made about a dream promotion at her company, complete with a celebratory photo. But below it, almost hidden, was a tiny, quickly deleted comment from a former colleague asking, "Didn't you just get demoted?" I had saved it because the comment had seemed odd, out of place. Another screenshot showed a direct message exchange between Jessica and a mutual friend, where Jessica was complaining bitterly about Mark's gambling habits, something she always vehemently denied in public. The message was quickly unsent, but I had captured it. And then, the most damning, a screenshot of a bank statement summary, accidentally posted on her Instagram story for a few seconds before being deleted. It clearly showed a staggering amount of credit card debt, far beyond what someone with her successful career should have. I had saved it because I was shocked by the amount, assuming it was a mistake. Now it was irrefutable evidence. My hands trembled as I looked at the collection of images. These weren't just random screenshots. They were fragments of a hidden truth. Each one on its own might be dismissed as a misunderstanding or a fleeting moment of weakness. But together, they painted a devastating picture of a woman desperately trying to maintain a lie, a perfect life that was teetering on the brink of collapse. The anger that had simmered within me now solidified into a cold, determined resolve. Jessica hadn't just insulted me. She had used a carefully constructed illusion to do it, and she had done it publicly. It was time to expose the truth, not for revenge, but for justice. It was time for her perfect facade to crumble. Not just for me, but for the family who had been so easily swayed by her performance. The screenshots were my weapon, and the next family gathering would be my battlefield. Chapter 3. The Unmasking. The opportunity arose sooner than I expected. My mother, ever the peacemaker, organized a New Year's brunch a few weeks later, ostensibly to bring everyone together after the holidays. I knew it was her subtle attempt to mend the rift, but I also knew Jessica would be there, ready to resume her role as the perfect hostess. I decided this was my moment. I carefully selected the most damning screenshots, printing them out and arranging them in a small, discreet folder. My heart pounded with a mix of fear and righteous indignation. The brunch was held at my parents' house, a more neutral territory, but the tension was palpable. Jessica arrived late, making a grand entrance, her outfit impeccable, her smile dazzling. She immediately began recounting anecdotes about her relaxing holiday, subtly weaving in details about her stress-free work life and blissful marriage. She even made a veiled comment about how some people just need to learn to be happy for others' success instead of dwelling on their own shortcomings. Her eyes flickered to me, a smug challenge in their depths. I remained silent, observing. My family, as usual, seemed captivated by her performance. My mother offered a sympathetic glance my way, but said nothing. My father cleared his throat, but also remained quiet. It was the same pattern, the same acceptance of Jessica's narrative. Finally, during a lull in conversation, when Jessica was mid-sentence about her upcoming wellness retreat, another carefully curated social media event I suspected, I decided it was time. I took a deep breath, my hands clammy, but my voice firm. "Jessica," I interjected, cutting her off mid-boast. "You mentioned earlier that some people struggle with jealousy, especially when faced with a perfect life, and you implied that was me." Jessica's eyes narrowed. "Sarah, we agreed to let bygones be bygones. Don't start this again." "No," I said, my voice unwavering. "We didn't agree. You made an accusation, publicly, at Christmas, and I think it's time we talked about what perfect really means." I reached for the folder I had placed on the table beside me. A few family members exchanged curious glances. Jessica's face hardened, a flicker of unease in her eyes. "You see," I continued, pulling out the first printout, "you've always been very good at presenting a certain image, like this one." I slid the screenshot of her dream promotion post with the deleted demotion comment across the table. "You posted about a dream promotion, but conveniently forgot to mention the demotion that happened just before it. Or the fact that you were almost fired." Jessica gasped, her face paling. "That's a lie! You're making things up." "Am I?" I asked, my gaze steady. I then slid the next printout, the direct message exchange about Mark's gambling. "And what about this, Jessica? Your amazing husband, with his small gambling problem that you constantly complain about in private while in public. He's the picture of perfection." Mark, who had been quietly sipping his coffee, choked. His eyes darted to Jessica, then to the printout, his face a mask of shock and betrayal. The room, which had been filled with the gentle clinking of cutlery and polite conversation, fell into an absolute, deafening silence. My parents stared, aghast. My aunt covered her mouth with her hand. Jessica's face was a ghastly white, her eyes wide with a mixture of fear and pure, unadulterated fury. Then, I laid down the final, most devastating piece of evidence, the screenshot of the bank statement summary, revealing her massive credit card debt. "And this, Jessica, is the perfect life you claim to have. Hundreds of thousands in debt, struggling to keep up with the image you present to the world. Is this what I'm supposed to be jealous of?" The silence that followed was heavy, suffocating. Jessica's mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. Her perfect facade had not just cracked, it had shattered into a million pieces, exposing the raw, messy truth beneath. The room, once filled with her confident boasts and my family's quiet acceptance, was now utterly, completely silent. The only sound the rapid beating of my own heart, a drumbeat of vindication. Chapter 4. The Authentic Path. The silence in my parents' living room was deafening. A vacuum created by the sudden, brutal exposure of Jessica's carefully constructed lies. Jessica herself looked utterly devastated, her face a mask of disbelief and humiliation. Mark, her husband, pushed back from the table, his eyes fixed on the screenshot of the gambling conversation, a deep frown etched on his face. My parents and other family members looked from Jessica to the printouts, their expressions a mix of shock, disappointment, and a dawning understanding. Jessica was the first to find her voice, though it was a strangled, furious whisper. How dare you, Sarah? You've been spying on me. This is an invasion of privacy. You're just trying to ruin my life because you're pathetic and jealous. Spying? I replied, my voice calm despite the tremor in my hands. These were things you posted yourself, Jessica, or messages you sent. I just happened to save them. And no, I'm not trying to ruin your life. I'm trying to stop you from lying, not just to us, but to yourself. And I'm tired of being called jealous when you're the one living a lie. My father, usually reserved, finally spoke up, his voice low and firm. Jessica, is this true? Are you really in that much debt? And Mark, is what Sarah said about your gambling accurate? The questions hung in the air. Jessica burst into tears, a raw, uncontrolled sob that was far from her usual composed demeanor. Mark, looking utterly defeated, finally nodded slowly. It's been a problem, Dad. We've been trying to deal with it. The rest of the brunch dissolved into a chaotic, emotional discussion. There were no immediate apologies to me, no sudden embraces of understanding. But the air had been cleared. The truth, however painful, was finally out. The perfect life facade had crumbled, and with it, Jessica's power over the family narrative. In the weeks and months that followed, the family dynamic shifted profoundly. Jessica's relationships, particularly with Mark and our parents, were severely strained. They began to confront the reality of their financial situation and Mark's gambling issues, seeking professional help. The constant pressure to maintain an impossible image had taken its toll on all of them. For me, the confrontation was a turning point. I didn't revel in Jessica's downfall. Instead, I felt a strange sense of liberation. The burden of being misunderstood, of constantly being compared to an illusion, had been lifted. Some family members, particularly my cousin David, reached out to me, expressing quiet apologies for not seeing the truth sooner. My parents, though heartbroken by the family turmoil, began to treat me with a newfound respect, acknowledging my strength and honesty. I focused on my own life, on building genuine connections and pursuing my passions. I found a new sense of peace, realizing that true happiness wasn't about external validation or a perfect image, but about authenticity, resilience, and genuine human connection. My life might not have been what Jessica considered perfect, but it was real. It was mine. I continued to build my career, finding fulfillment in my work. I cultivated friendships based on mutual respect and understanding. The incident with the screenshots became a defining moment, not just for my family, but for me. It taught me the importance of standing up for myself, of speaking truth to power, and of trusting my own instincts. The Christmas where my sister laughed and called me jealous was a painful memory, but it was also the catalyst that led to a profound shift. The silence that fell when I showed the screenshots wasn't just about exposing a lie. It was about reclaiming my voice, finding my place, and finally, truly, living an authentic life.